So let me get this straight. You're asking me to take time out of my day because the person that's telling you no is typically reading a script. That's breach of contract. But here's the trick. And then you
Yes.
sit there and you don't say another word.
All right, gang, welcome into another episode of Splittin the Atom, where actually, the world is serving up the interesting, the unexplained, and the insane every single week, and we tackle it all on Splittin the Atom because this isn't a show about nothing. It's a show about everything. This week, we're going to talk to Sean Michael Beyer because he's got a great book. He's an author, he's a director, he's a writer, and he's got this great book called Never Take. And I want him to tell you about this book. I have many questions, but I got the idea, and I said, well, the idea came to us here on Split the Atom, and I said we got to have this guy on because he can help so many people. The book is interesting. It's a great read. It's an easy read, and he speaks to every man. That's one of the things that I appreciate most about this particular book. It's for an 18-year-old, it's for a 25-year-old, it's for a 45-year-old, an 85-year-old can read it. Everybody can, you know how, and what I mean by that is sometimes you watch the news or you read a book and it's verbose and you need a thesaurus and it's just, what are people saying? I can't understand this. This is easy and it's easily understood. And he speaks to you in such a way that it almost feels personal when you're reading this. And that's what I really appreciate about this book. So we welcome in Sean Michael Beyer right now from Los Angeles. Is that right? You out in LA?
I am. I am in Los Angeles. I'm in Sherman Oaks, specifically in the in the San Fernando Valley. But gosh, I don't feel worthy of that introduction. Damn.
Well, I tell people who watch this show, Sean, we got to keep it real. And
Yeah.
that's what I loved about this book. It really, I mean, I never knew that there was something called the phone tree. I thought it was just something I had to suffer through, but we'll get to
Oh,
that.
tell me.
So, Sean, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to write this book called Never Take. And what else do you do? You're a really interesting guy. You've got a lot going on.
Although I'm only wearing one today, I do tend to wear a lot of hats. And this book, it's been rolling around in my head 20, 25 years. I always was one of those type of people that you don't want to take no for an answer. In a reasonable scenario, you don't want to be the difficult one. I talk about that. Don't be the difficult one in the room. We've all been that way. But taking just no at face value, well, let's ask some more questions here. Let's find out why you're telling me no, because the person that's telling you no is typically reading a script. This is when they ask this question, you answer with this statement. And sometimes when you ask another question, you get a better response. Not always, but that was the premise of this. But it's not just customer service, it's in life. You dealing with your overbearing boss, even overbearing parents. I tended to be able to negotiate a little bit with logic. My mother even said to me when I'm like 6 years old, "Why do you analyze everything I say?" And I didn't even know what analyze meant, but I just knew that I wanted to go swimming after I had hot dogs for lunch, and she said no. So I wanted to know why. That's where that came from, and I just started making notes. And again, it's been in my head 20 years. It's only been actively being produced, if you will, written in about the last year. It took me some time, but obviously, that's where it came from. Just standing up from it, and it also came from working in the entertainment business because
Oh, I'm
the enter
sure.
it's rejection.
Yeah.
It's no.
Ah,
That's what people are paid to do is to say, no, you're not good enough. You're not right enough. You're not right for the role, whatever it is. And they thrive on mediocrity. And that's where you have to stand. There's something in the book. I coached an actor and I said, look, stand out, don't fit in. And he was
yes.
reluctant. But then when he did, he got the gig.
That's interesting. I've always said that, I want to blend out. I never want to blend in. I don't whatever everybody is doing, I don't want to do it. It's because it's not interesting anymore. Everybody is doing it. That's a great piece of advice, Sean. I I want to tell you that as somebody who is a people pleaser, when I started reading this book, I said, "Oh my God, he's giving you tools here to, as I said, to navigate various elements of daily living." But for somebody like me who is just, I literally have always been, no, it's not going to be that way, Jen. Okay. And you don't want to say anything. And you actually made mention of this, and I wrote this on the back, standing your ground without becoming a problem. So I wanted to start somewhere else, but let's start there.
Okay.
How can you challenge? Because most people in today's world, Sean, they'll tell you something, and as soon as you don't accept what they are giving you, they right away, you're the problem. You're being difficult. You're being insubordinate if you're at work. You're one of those people. I mean, how do you escape that? Because that's automatically what pops into somebody's head right away when you say, "Well, no, I'm not going to accept that. Explain more," or so on and so forth.
The one thing that I found, and we're all guilty of reacting emotionally to something because it's not personal. Rarely is it personal. It may be, but typically it's not personal. But we feel like they're attacking me. They don't like me, and we need to, as I've said to many people, including the producer of your show, rule with logic, not with emotion. It's hard to do at times because you're angry that you just saw this $300 charge on your credit card because you forgot to cancel a subscription. But did they charge you too quickly? That's a little trick now that they do is it's you get a 7-day free trial, 14-day free trial, right? And you're like, okay, well, if I like it, I'll keep the subscription. But if I don't, then I'll cancel. And then you forget. Okay, that's your fault. However, what they realize is that people do that. So they charge you a couple of days early and they hope that you don't notice. Well, if it's a 7-day free trial, that is a contract. And if they charge you something in advance and you let them do it, okay. But if you say no, 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 I I'm going to use this for this finite period of time, and when it's over with, I need to get a refund. And usually they'll do it. Usually they'll be like, okay, uh, but sometimes they'll fight you, and you have to say, well, please explain to me how this makes sense. Sometimes you have to go to the supervisor. Hi, I signed up for a 7-day free trial, and it was day 5, and you charged me the subscription. That's breach of contract.
Yeah, okay,
And
so
then, but here's the trick. And then you
yes.
sit there and you don't say another word.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You talk about staying calm
It's
in
hard.
this. Yes, no, okay, wait. So, in an era of straight up rage bait, you have a whole generation of young people. I mean, who are being the bear. They're poking the media and whatever music, and they're poking these kids, and these kids are just in a state of. And I'm talking specifically about this generation, but because they can't stay calm. But maybe us Gen Xers, or we've kind of figured out how to regulate our emotions. And I'm not letting this generation off the hook, but I'm saying that we should be better equipped. However, when you are on hold and the person can't understand what you're saying, and they put you on hold with crazy music for 20 minutes, and then they come back and they tell you the same exact thing that you told them 25 minutes ago, and then they put you on hold again. So by the time you're asking people to stay calm, they're about to explode, and not because they can't regulate their emotions. I feel because it's this crazy setup. The system stinks, and then you're ready to snap. How can you
That's
stay calm
well,
there?
it's very difficult. Xanax helps. I'm
Oh,
not condoning addictive behavior, but those systems are
oh,
designed to fatigue you out of staying the
are
course.
they?
They are
No.
absolutely because
Oh, I didn't know that.
when escalation occurs within a customer service scenario, it costs them money. So if they can make you tired and you'll just hang up the phone and forget about it, they save money. And when they go to a foreign call center, and I have a real issue with foreign call centers, not the person answering the phone. That
Yes.
person has bills to pay and a family to support, just like all of us. Let's not shoot the messenger. Even if they have a thick accent, okay, they have a job that they were hired to do. Okay. The people we should take our anger out on if we do are the US companies that aren't hiring Americans for profit.
Yeah.
And that to me is disgusting because so many of these companies, you call up and you hear the accent and you get so frustrated.
Yes. Right away. Yeah. There's legislation about this that's in the
Good.
works. Yeah.
Because they should incent, all these tariffs going on.
Yeah.
The idea is good. It was executed very poorly, but the idea is good. Keep everything US based. But what you want to do, instead of using a negative reinforcement, use positive reinforcement, right? So
Yeah.
US companies, if you hire Americans, we're going to give you a little bit of a tax break. We're going to give you an incentive to keep it in the US. And when I switched from, I was a long time AT&T customer with my
Mm.
cell phone, and their service started they were doing something with their thing. My service was terrible. It didn't used to be. And I switched to Spectrum. They do internet and all of that. So much better and all US based customer service.
Oh, wow.
They speak fluent English and
Good
it's
to
wonderful.
know. Good.
Now,
Good to
now
know.
that
Oh,
said, if you are stuck with a foreign call center, it's going
yeah.
to
Yeah.
happen. What we don't want to do is, first of all, don't be mad at that person. That's not their fault. Secondly, if we use a bunch of United States slang or speak really rapidly, and I speak very quickly, people think I'm from the East Coast, like New York, because of how fast I speak. But speak slowly, speak in simple English, you'll get better results.
All right. So since we're on customer service and we're tying common to that, what is customer service now? And I have to say, I got to ask that. I cannot believe that their setup is to manipulate me into hanging up the phone.
Think
You
about this.
I'm
Think
so crabby about that.
I think about it.
Nobody that I know knows that except for you.
I think others do. Um, But if you think about it, you call a place. For example, I had to get a prescription filled at CVS. CVS
Yes.
is headquarters in Woonsocket, Rhode Island.
Yes,
Um,
that's where I grew up,
there you go.
unfortunately.
Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Narragansett. Some of those words are weird, but I've spent a lot of time in Rhode Island, so I know how to say them, hopefully at least. But CVS doesn't answer the phones anymore.
Yeah.
It is a phone tree, if you will. It is an AI assistant, and it said to me when I called, "Are you a doctor or a prescriber?" And I said, "No. Please answer the question. Are you a doctor or?" I'm like, "No, I, I, I'm not." Um, and it doesn't even listen to you. But in order to speak to the pharmacy, you have to leave a message, and then they call you back. And they typically call you back in an hour. Okay, it's not unreasonable. But why can't somebody just answer the phone? And it's all cost effective. But
Yeah.
what's happening is people are starting to rebel against this method. But if you think about it, you can't speak to anybody. You can chat with them, but you got to chat with the bot first, with the virtual assistant, with Rufus, with Siri, with Alexa. With like, I be careful what I say. They all talk to me. But you have to go through that barrier.
Hmm.
And they do that because one, a chatbot doesn't it doesn't get a paycheck. It's not on payroll. So it can talk to anybody all day long. And as I said in the book, it asks for your patience while quietly testing it.
Right. So this is the existential crisis. I was just thinking that while you're talking. I'm, internally, turning into this, crazy little monster, that orange guy from Bugs Bunny. And then you know, I'm supposed to stay calm and do it the right way and not be mad at the people that eventually answer the phone if in fact they do. And but sometimes, and I think it's stress though, Sean. We're speaking, by the way, with author Sean Michael Beyer, also a film producer, amongst other things. We'll get to that. His book is called Never Take. And we're going to give you an opportunity to get this great book at the end, how you can do that. And you really should read this. Very interesting. Um, but, I think that sometimes people get stressed because it's about the money. It's not even about the process they're taking you through. It's, hey, I want my 200 bucks back. The
Right.
man got my money. And now why is it so difficult? It was easy for you guys to take it. I signed up, you took it in a second, but trying to get my money back, my few shekels that I need in today's economy is not so easy. And it's very hard for even sane people to stay
It,
rational.
it's kind of like, beat them at their own game. And there
Oh,
is that new the new movement about click to cancel, that it took you 2 seconds to sign up. It shouldn't take much longer
yes.
to cancel whatever it is. And this is going back quite a few years, but I joined, I don't remember what gym it was, but I wasn't feeling it. It's that scenario of New Year's resolution. I'm going to get back in shape, and you join a gym, and these companies count on you signing up and then not using their service. Completely legal, nothing unethical about it, but that's what they count on. Because if everybody that had a membership to a particular gym went, the gym couldn't handle that many people.
Wait, really? Am I the last person to know this stuff? Or, I mean, I know that I was
Get
drunk for
this.
many years, but
Companies make hundreds of millions of dollars per year based on forgotten subscriptions, free trial. Whoops, I forgot to cancel. They make a lot of money on that. It is completely legal because if
wow.
you sign up for a 7-day free trial and you forget to cancel, whose fault is it? It's not theirs. If they charge you too early, or you said cancel and then they don't do it, then that's on them. But they make so much money on this.
Wow.
And gyms used to be notorious for obviously having people join the gym and then stop going after a month, and then they pay for a year, and the gym, that's pure profit for the gym because they you didn't go to their gym, right? Their gym is open and you can go, but you didn't because you didn't. So I realized I'm not going to this gym. It's a little too far from home. So I want to cancel. And this is going back a few years, but they said in order for you to cancel, you have to prove that you have moved more than 50 miles from any one of our gyms in the US,
Whoa.
which now they can't do that now,
Yeah,
but they
yeah,
did at the time.
yeah.
And they're also out of business. But so what I did was my mother's address in Northern California was 100 miles from one of their gyms. So I said, well, I moved to this. It's my mom's address, but I was an adult, but I said I moved to that address. They didn't believe me, but they couldn't do anything about it, and so I got
Mm.
the cancellation. Now gyms will pretty much let you cancel just because you don't want the service, because if you don't want to use something, you shouldn't have to pay for it. And if you buy a subscription to something for a year and then you don't want it anymore, it is unethical of them to keep your money. And I've fought those things and I've won. There's a chapter or a story in the book. I went to this legal AI kind of website, and it wasn't so much AI; it was just a lot of good research, and that's fine. But it's very expensive. It's like $300 a month, and I needed to do some research for some paperwork. I wrote some contracts, with it so I could save money from an attorney. And I did, hundreds of searches. I did a lot of research, and I thought this is great. Okay, and I had all the searches saved in my account, and I used it for a month. I paid for it, and then I canceled. And when I went back in, and I should have downloaded this first, everything was blocked. And I emailed them and I said, "Hi, I still I don't want anything new, but I'd like to get my search results." And they said, "Well, you canceled." I said, "Yeah, but I paid for the search results." Well, yes. And they said, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I work in the
Mm.
entertainment business." And they said, "Well, this website is designed for attorneys and law students and so forth." I'm like, "You didn't ask for my resume when I signed up."
Mm.
They wouldn't give me a refund.
Wow.
So I called my bank. I wrote a quick little letter. Here's what happened. Da, da, da. 17 days, I got my money back.
Okay, this is a great time to ask this question because you talk in the book about standing your ground in different ways, and you say you have to stand your ground without ever crossing that line. What does crossing the line? What is the line, and what does crossing that line look like, Sean?
using colorful metaphors when you're speaking with customer service. And I'm guilty of getting very angry at them, and it doesn't work. It almost never works. You have to go back to the rule with logic. And if they stonewall you, which they will often do, you have to say, no, that's not acceptable. That's this one system. They told me I had to fax something to them. I said, this was last year. I go, it's 2025. Why are we using 1980s technology? Well, it's safe and secure. I said, no, it's not. It's a piece of paper that prints out on somebody's printer. I said, they don't even make fax machines any longer. Well, they probably do somewhere. But why are we using this antiquated technology? Why can't I
Mm,
send you a PDF with a password protection so it's encrypted? That's safe.
mm.
And then I said nothing else. I just sat there. And
Sean,
let me connect you with somebody else.
you're a better man. You're a
Oh,
better man. You're a better person than I could be.
I'm terrible. I can get just as angry and feisty but I've found that when you rule with logic, it makes a difference. An example, another story from I ordered this. It was a humidifier of something or other, and it came and the attachment didn't fit. It was the wrong one. And so I called them and I said, "Hey, I got your thing. And this one piece was wrong." And the guy says, "Oh, okay." And he's typing in his little computer, and he says, "Okay, here's what I need you to do: package that up, and take it to a UPS store, and then ship it back to us. And then once we get it, we'll give you the right part." I said, "Well, you sent me the wrong part. Why do I need to go through that?" He goes, "Well, that's what it says on my computer." I said, "Verbatim?" And I kind of laughed and he didn't. And then I didn't say another word.
Mm.
And then there was silence. And I said, "So let me get this straight. You're asking me to take time out of my day to package this up in my own packaging and take it to a UPS store, wait in line probably, then ship it to you. And then however long it takes to get to you, then however long it takes you to process the return. And then I get the correct part. Is that exactly what you're asking of me?" Well, I said, "Well, how much does this cost?" He goes, "I don't know. It isn't sold separately." I said, "I see." And
Mm.
then I waited. Type, 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 type. All right, just keep it. We'll send you the right part. I'm like, "Thank
Well,
you."
and so we're staying calm. We're dealing with customer service in a rational way. We're learning how to navigate the phone tree, and then timing is also very important
Yeah.
in these
Oh, yeah.
situations. And let's talk about that. Do you, because for me, I can tell you two times, Sean, where it was with Hallow app, if you can believe it. The Hallow app and BJ's, this store around here. It's like one of those you buy in bulk kind of store, and they
Like a
have
like
cheap
a
gas.
Costco kind of place.
Yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
so, but what they do is they send you the stuff in the mail, and it's, oh, join now, Jen, for $20, and avoid these big. So I did that, but I somehow neglected to know they hit you with this big charge once a year. And I didn't, I thought, oh, it was just, so I kind of let it go for a little while because I thought, well, it's already done. And I kind of made the mistake there. And then I went in to talk to these people at Hallow, and it must have been 4 or 5 months later. Now let's talk about how timing in these situations is important because I kind of screwed up there.
Timing as far as canceling your subscription?
Timing in just terms of canceling things or dealing with customer service or the whole no question, taking no for when they say we can't do anything for you, is there a cutoff point where you have to get this stuff done right away, or it doesn't matter how long time passes, or how responsible is the consumer in these things when it's a shock. I didn't know how it was going to nail me for almost $100 for a whole nother year of this stuff. I thought it was just try Hallow and enjoy God. And, but when I went back to talk to them, they said, no can do, can't help you out.
Well, the first thing you say to them is why.
Oh,
And if they say company policy, can you please read that policy for me? Because remember, the one thing that they do right for us is the calls are monitored and recorded. And it's not only to train them, it's to keep them in line. because if they're the forward-facing people of the company. So if they are out of line with you, they can lose their job. Now, it also, if you're unreasonable, that's recorded too, and they'll note that. If a customer is consistently, swearing at them or rude or whatever it might, or just overly aggressive, they'll log that into the account, especially if it's a subscription-based account, it's your internet or your something like that. But that's you can't help me. Why? Because what sometimes will happen is when they explain to you why, you're like, well, that's not my situation.
Hmm.
Oh, let me look into this a little bit further. But force them to explain why. And then if they say it's company policy, can you please read me that company policy? Because that's company policy is vague. Okay. Are you just force them to communicate with you? Don't challenge. You're lying to me. You don't want to challenge them. You don't want to accuse them of anything. But if they say something, they have to quantify it. They have to explain why. Well, okay, why is this? And it just goes into blindly following instructions like we do. Um, Here's an example. My very first short film that I did in 1998. I was in post production, editing and finishing it up. And this gentleman who was my one of my producers, more experienced than me, was very helpful. And he says, "Okay, I need you to do X, Y, and Z." And I said, "Well, that's kind of expensive. Why?" He goes, "Just trust me." I said, "I do trust you, but I want you to tell me why I need to do X, Y, and Z." And he's like, "Well, this, that." I said, "I already did that." Oh, I said, "So please, let's communicate." And just by asking a simple question as to why. And that's where I came up with my quote that I've had in the bottom of my emails since the dawn of time. It's success is achieved by not only the knowing, let me say it properly, edit this out, Adam. Success is achieved by not only knowing the right steps to take, but why to take them. And that also came from like interacting with my mother. She just blindly follows instructions. And
Yeah.
and it's kind of like if you don't learn what spices do, you can't cook other than following a recipe letter by letter by letter, all the way down. If you don't ever learn how that chili powder is spicy and cumin is not, you won't ever know how. You could never cook really by yourself. You would always have to follow a recipe. But if you learn what it all does, you have better results.
But see, the interesting part about this is, this is a manual, this is an interesting book that can help you accomplish the things that you need to get done and do them in a sane, rational way. However, we live in such a time that people hide behind their keyboards, Sean, and
Yep. Yep.
they don't have courage. They have this kind of courage. I'm going to type this on the internet and I'm going to say this. They have liquid courage, but they don't have the courage, to accept that no, Jen. Well, why? I mean, I was never one of those people. I don't like confrontation. I cower. My friends used to tease me and say, wimplet, wimplet, wimplet. And I'm just one of those people that want to make, I don't want to be, going back to that, I don't want to be that problem. But there are times in your life when you have to come out of your shell a little bit. But I think for a lot of people, that's really difficult.
Oh, it's very difficult. There's a difference between assertion and aggression, right?
Yeah.
There is a big difference. And again, I always go back to rule with logic in a calm manner, and it's hard to do. Believe me, it's very hard to do. I catch myself all the time spouting out something and like just back down a little bit, but rule with logic because people can't they can't fight that. There is a logic to it, and you also you have to make sure that you're right,
Oh,
and we don't want to stand up and take what isn't ours, or if we screwed up, we have to acknowledge that.
that's a
Now,
great point.
but also we're human, right? We make mistakes. If you call them up and say, "Hi, I completely forgot about the subscription renewal. I no longer need this. Can you just prorate? I've only used it for 2 weeks. Can you it works. Not always, but it'll work. If you just say,
Mm.
I totally screwed up. I forgot to renew it, and they will. They not always. Another example is I had a website for stock footage and music and stuff that I used, and I had too many of them. And the one I wasn't using anymore, it had an auto renewal, but I couldn't cancel it on the website. And I emailed customer service. I went to the chat bot who was not helpful. I got no results.
I hate those things. That little
Oh,
thing shows up. Like, I ain't talking to you.
tell me about it.
Oh my God.
Again, I went to my bank, but this time, even though my bank filed the dispute, they said, "Oh, he's been using the website. Therefore, we his subscription has to be honored." And I said, "Please provide proof."
Mm. Oh, see,
And
that's
then I got a
gutsy.
refund.
That's you're
Because I just
so.
said, okay, I purposely did not log into that website for that very reason. Now, these companies all have their, you see the little thing, please accept our cookies, which is just search results.
Yes.
They want to track you. They want to send you emails. That's what those
Yeah.
are for. They all have all of this tracking information. So if I logged in, please provide the IP address of who logged into that account. And if it ties to me, I will accept your challenge. But I didn't log into it.
Mm.
And this one took about 6 weeks, but I did get my money back because they couldn't prove that I used their website.
Yeah, you know what really frosts my flakes is when they'll say, you go to some great website, I don't know, you're buying something and it says 40% off, Jen, give us your email. So I'm like, okay, I don't mind. Maybe I'll find out what's on sale. And then they say, and for you now, for your 40%, give us your phone number. Every time I fall for that stupid scam, I never
Hmm.
give my phone. I did that a few times and my phone was blowing up with crazy things, Sean. I had to
Oh,
block these
it's
numbers.
yeah, that's it's just data mining is all they want. That's what they want. They
Oh,
want somebody else to promote to. I,
let's talk about why I want, because I have a friend that when this part of the book, when I started reading this part of the book, I thought, oh my God, I have to have my friend Val read this. You were talking about why it's so hard for people to walk away from a job. And,
mm.
and because most people don't know how to do it. And this girl works for a company. I'm not going to say which one. I want to get in trouble, but it's a daily grind there, in many ways. And she's one of the best workers. She never says no. She always goes in early, stays late. They totally abuse her. She's completely miserable and a slave to this company. It's so bad. The highest wage she can get is something like $23, which is great in, today's world because, I was making $7 an hour way back in the 80s. But I mean, cost of living increase, I get it, but she's miserable, but she won't leave because in some ways she's a little rock star there and it makes her feel like somebody, but she knows that she has more to give and can be and do, and she just needs to have, the skills to do it, and she doesn't.
It's very tough. I will say though, I've told people that they just complain about their jobs. I said, well, either suck it up or quit. Because if you don't like your job and you stay there, that's on you. And you have to realize that we think about it as friends throughout our lives. We have lifelong friends and then we have short-term friends, right? And sometimes short-term friends, there was no falling out, there was nothing bad between us. It just our friendship kind of went different directions. So be it. That's the same thing with the job. The job has served a purpose. But if you're a rock star at this job, why can't you be, a superstar at the next one?
Yeah,
And
I feel like many people feel as though they get into these companies and the company cares about them. And the company does not care about you. They feel, let's circle
it's
back to that whole thing in the beginning. They feel a
well, it's
certain way.
it's comfort zone too. People
Yeah,
don't like to. We're all creatures of habit. We're creatures of our routines. We like everything in a neat little box.
totally.
And when it changes, ooh, I don't like this, and so you have to be aware of that. But if we are allow ourselves to step outside of the comfort zone, we will get great results. I'm terrible at networking. I don't like cold calling. I don't like any of that. I
I
hate it.
find that hard to believe that you're terrible at any of
Oh,
this.
but get me in the room and I'm great, right? Get
Yeah.
me in the room, get me up there. I'll talk in front of 1,000 people. It doesn't faze me. But calling the person to get me the job to talk in front of 1,000 people drives me. Well, that's why you have agents and managers, right? But I don't like that. But step outside your comfort zone. It's hard. It is so hard. But
Mm,
also when you do, it's very rewarding.
yes.
And it's something as simple as manifesting what you want. I have these little cartoon chalkboards. They look like speech bubbles from graphic novels, right? And I write on them what I want to happen. And I see, we all look at our refrigerator, right? And you manifest what you want. So if you're stuck in this job, yeah, the pay is okay, I don't like it, then you manifest the change that you want. And if you tell yourself, don't tell yourself how to get there, tell yourself where you want to go. And the
Okay. Well,
and the rest will follow.
on that, two questions for you. You said that you've been thinking about this book for 20 years. So what was the genesis? Did you have some, I'm not even, I mean, I hate to say some aha moment, but I mean, back 20 years ago, did something happen and you say, I've got to write this book about not taking no? And then do you know how many books are in people? Everybody has a book, but you wrote it. So how did you get to from A to B? What is the genesis of this book? I know there's a situation. I just have this vibe.
The situation comes from uh, early cell phone services, and um, I don't even remember the company. I don't think they're still in business. They canceled my service because of a clerical error. And it took, and this is, early internet, things were not like it is now today. And I was so frustrated that I had done nothing wrong, but I had to go through all these steps just to get my service reinstated that I had paid for. But they
Mm.
said I hadn't. And then I had to, it was a guilty until proven innocent scenario. And I think I did have to fax something back then. This was probably I want to say late 90s, something like that. I was so frustrated. And I just realized, why did I have to go through all that trouble when they made a mistake? And it just really, and the man on the line was
And
so
the baby was born in his mind right
yes.
here.
You know what? I've changed the cover slightly,
You have?
just a little
Oh, you
bit.
did?
Not significantly, but the reason I did, what
Yeah, I
was
was gonna say
happening?
why?
See the headset?
Yes,
People who were reading the book were saying to me, it's so much more than consumer advocacy. And
absolutely.
And that's why I thought, you know what? That headset immediately says customer service. And yes, I talk a lot about customer service, but I talk about so many other, things of standing up for yourself
Yeah, this
when,
is a life skills book. So, we're
oh,
talking about certain
okay.
elements. No, it really is. Again, for somebody like myself who doesn't, who's been asleep and just have always, and no, and I just, it's sort of like, all right, I'm going to call. I'm going to say what I need to say because this is some BS and I've had it and I'm tired of getting these. But no, this book takes you through how to
Well,
behave, how to get the things that you need done, how to get what you want.
also when you call, if you can call during non-busy hours, because
Yeah,
everybody takes their lunch break. If you have a 9 to 5 kind of job, many of us do. I haven't had in years, thank goodness. But I have it, at some points in my life. But don't call it noon because everybody else is calling it noon. And don't
yeah,
call it 6 p.m. because everybody else is calling it 6
yeah.
p.m. Take a break. Hey boss, I did you a favor. Can you give me 30 minutes to go make a call? Or if they have weekends and stuff, that's not the time to call either because everybody else is calling. Try to call at a different time, but also give yourself a cheat sheet.
Oh,
This is the end result that you want. Remember, they're not doing this because they don't like you. They're just doing what their job. They're stuck to a script. They're stuck to a procedure. And if the customer says this, we say this. And if they say this, we say this. So this is the result that I want. Stick to that. And when they answer, don't spew out a stream of consciousness. Hi, I am this person. This is my account number. Can you help me with this problem? then let them answer because they might not be the one that helps you. But
Mm.
if you spend 30 seconds spewing off this and that and this is what happened and then my muffins burned in the oven and my dog had to go out. I can't possibly.
Right over here. That's me.
Yeah. So just say,
Totally.
hi. I am Sean, and listen, my account
Totally.
number is 1234. Can you help me with this subscription issue? And then let them they'll type it up and they'll say, yes, I can, no, I can't, whatever their response is. Then explain details.
Yeah. Well, and you're talking to somebody, you kind of, when I said this is a life skills book, I really mean it. And you may not, you might think, really? Or that's kind of, but listen, I walked into, when I bought my first car, Sean, who teaches this stuff to people? I
Oh,
mean, my parents didn't teach it to me. No, seriously. When I walked in to buy my first car, I said, hey, I just left the military. And I was, in my 20s, I was in my late 20s, but still, I knew military stuff, but not civilian stuff. Listen, I've never done this before. So I like Toyota. I'm trusting you guys to help me through this. Oh my God. Boom, sucker, sucker,
oh
sucker.
yeah, yeah.
They saw me coming. And so I feel like so many people don't know. And even elderly people, I was talking to my mom about this and she's afraid to make waves. And I said, Mom, you have to do this. Or if somebody's telling you they want your information on the phone, you have to stand up for yourself. And we were just talking about all the scams and stuff, Sean, because it's hard to navigate with so many people trying to, do all these bad things out there. And if
No,
you're a
there's
good-natured person who's
it,
clueless like me, you don't know.
it falls into if it's too good to be true, it probably
Yeah.
isn't. And use logic in that you get when you get an email that says it's from a well-known company, but it says dear customer,
Yeah.
and customer is a lowercase c.
Yeah.
Read the grammar. Usually it's not proper English. There'll be a misspelled word, there'll be you know a missing period, whatever it might be. And you're like, okay, this is because it's too if it's too good to be true, then they're gonna they're gonna get your information, they're gonna get your login, they're
Mm.
gonna get whatever it is because they've fooled you. Now, how those people sleep at night, it's beyond me.
Right. Oh, tell me about it. Oh, when I first started getting bamboozled, when I was in like the 90s, when you'd watch TV and you'd be, kind of a little out of your mind at 2 in the morning, and somebody comes on and says, we've got this crazy toothbrush for $29.99 that's going to make your teeth look like clouds in the sky. And you literally pay $29.99 plus shipping and tax or whatever, and you get it. It's a toothbrush. There was nothing spectacular. It was a toothbrush with their toothpaste, and I paid $30 for this. And I said, "Man, there's a sucker born every minute, and I'm one of them." All right, Sean. So I have had you on for a while, and I
Oh,
wanted to ask you more questions. Can you stay for a little while?
I this has been great. I didn't even
Uh,
realize how long we've been talking. That's
yeah,
great.
well, I know you have things to do, but I want to talk about your film career and your writing career in that way in the industry because I mean, you must have such thoughts, tell people about what you've done in the industry, but it's changing so rapidly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
AI is terrifying, and movie theaters are being shut down around me left and right. And it's just why I love going to the movies. What's
Oh,
happening to
oh,
the industry out there?
you think about it. I mean, that's when I fell in love with the cinema. Growing up in I grew up in Northern California, and we had one of those big Art Deco theaters, those classic movie theater
They
with
had
the
one on Thayer Street, right by Brown University. I don't know if it's still open, but they had one. Yeah,
yeah, no, those are the best
best.
experiences. And we'd go to the matinee and my mom would give me like $5 and I'd get popcorn and a drink and the movie ticket,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it was a lot of fun. And and it was escaping into that world for that
Yes.
2 hour period, which was fantastic. And I started, acting at a very young age, probably 8 or so. And then young adult, I decided to move to Los Angeles to pursue a career. And I did. I got work relatively quick. I was on set within 3 days
Oh,
of, of,
wow.
of being in LA. And that was, I got to work with the late Robert Loggia. and I worked with a lot of big celebrities. Robert Mitchum's last project, it was a situation comedy. I've worked with John Candy, Bruce Willis, David Hasselhoff. I was
Oh
on the
my
first season of.
goodness.
I played a lifeguard. This is in the '90s, who was a waiter, and I did a scene with David Hasselhoff, and he was the nicest man to work with. I had one line like, I'm just serving him a drink or something at this restaurant, but he was in his trailer in the parking lot, and they'd wrap me. I was heading home, and I walk. I didn't even realize it was his trailer. I walk by, and he knocks on the window. He's Sean, 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 and he comes and he opens the door and he shakes my hand. He goes, "Hey, thanks for a great day."
Oh, that's
And that
nice.
resonated with me because it was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's very, thoughtful. And I just remembered those nice people. There are some people in the industry, I won't mention their names, who aren't very nice.
Yeah.
But for the most part, some of these big stars, just nice, humble people, appreciative of what they have and their careers, and that just keeps you going.
Yeah.
And I'm in the independent world, lower budget movies, but I am very grateful to have sat down at a computer with a blank screen, written a script, and got it produced into a movie. And now you can see it. You can stream it on Amazon. You can watch it on Tubi. You can watch it. They've done some stuff in little theaters. I did a movie for Hallmark in 2017.
Oh, my
And
mom loves that station. She watches that channel all the time. She does.
I can't watch it at Christmas time. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
the same
Wow.
story over and over again.
That's what she says. Same thing, but she loves it. Whatever.
But I'm very grateful. We always strive for more. I enjoy writing. I really do. And you talk about movie theaters and AI. I'll touch on that
But
too.
yeah, and the industry, how can you stomach what's happening to the industry? Everything is reality TV because it's cheap to make. Where are all the big, huge movies? I mean, Toy Story's coming out. Is that the big summer blockbuster? I feel like there used to be a bazillion shows
Well,
coming
it's
out.
we're on in my opinion, we're on the verge of a significant change
Mm,
because right now there is too much content and not all of it is good. There is
yeah,
still some great content that's out there, but there's also a lot of garbage, a lot of fluff, and enough sequels. The I just saw an article. The president of Sony Pictures said to movie theaters, especially here in LA, it's horrible. Enough of 30 minutes of pre-show before the movie actually starts.
yeah,
People
yeah.
don't want. First of all, people don't go. They
All my
now you have
popcorn's
reserves.
gone by the time the movie starts.
Right. And
For real.
I want to see a couple of trailers. Sure. I want to see what's coming up next. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I don't need 10 trailers and then commercials about the concession stand. I know the concession stand is there and I know it's overpriced. You don't need to remind me. And let's get to the movie going experience. Couple of trailers, then start the movie. That's what we want. And if you want people to go to movies, that's what you need to do. Stop with all the shrinkflation. You give them less and you charge them the same. That's a clever little trick that I don't like very much. Um, and as far as AI, AI has a place as
Mm,
a tool.
mm.
However, when I saw this recent thing, and I don't remember the name of the movie, but and I'm glad that I don't. But they're releasing a movie. I don't know when it will be, starring Val Kilmer, and it was made after he died.
Mm.
And they're using archive footage of him. They said, we're not using anything from his previous movies, only home movies and video. And we have the blessing of his family because Val wanted to do this movie before he passed. Well, you know what? He passed away. That means he doesn't get to do the movie.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't need a computer simulating how he might have performed. That
mm,
is disgusting and should be outlawed.
yeah.
It,
Well, it will
it's
crush the industry. I know. I
well,
saw that Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, fight. I don't know if you saw that video, but somebody filed a lawsuit. They said a cease and desist. I don't know if it was Warner Brothers or Sony or whoever owns Brad Pitt and or Tom Cruise. They said no, no with that AI. It looked so real. It was unbelievable.
it's it has its place, and it's. I talk about this in the book too. It's the non-creatives that want to use this to make themselves look like they have skills.
Mm.
And
Mm.
we all need to stay in our lane. Okay. I have my level of skills and you have your level of skills. Let's work together. Not if you don't have the ability to write, don't use AI to show that you do, because guess what? We're on to you. And create it for real. It's there's something about humans. I'm working on this musical, which is just a labor of love to work on this. I won't go into great details, but we're recording 6 demos of songs from the musical,
Oh, wow.
the romantic comedy music, like a La La Land kind of movie. Big
Oh,
big budget
nice.
movie
Yeah.
that I'm thrilled to be a part of. And we went into the recording studio with real musicians and real singers, and there is no AI in the house.
Oh,
And
that's awesome. Yeah.
because it's real, it's just like a drum machine. Drum machines were very prevalent in the 80s, and they
Yeah.
keep a perfect beat, like a metronome, right? Humans aren't a metronome. Some humans can be pretty spot on, right?
Yeah.
But it's not perfect, and that's the beauty of it. And when you play a violin, yes, you want your violin in tune, or the term is intonation, right? Keeping it in tune. But when a human plays it, it's not quite perfect. But when a computer plays it, it's spot on perfect. That's not human. Humans bring human elements to this. Humans need to write scripts, not computers. Let the
I
computer
totally agree.
the
Yeah.
computer can make sure you don't have misspelled words. That's okay. They can help challenge your grammar. I disagree. I kind of like it in a little sloppy slang.
Yeah.
I did that with the book. I ran it through Grammarly to make sure I didn't have blatant typos, so I didn't have to pay an expensive editor. And it caught things. I'm like, no, leave it alone. It's how I talk.
Yeah.
And it's humans. Humans, we are so disconnected in our world of connection. We
We
have.
are.
Think
Yes,
about
we
this.
are.
You text somebody to ask permission to call them.
Yeah. Listen,
Why not just call them?
my roommate texts me from her room. I'm sitting on the couch. She's texting, "Hey." I'm like, "Why? Just yell. Can you yell?" Like, what? Why? It
No, but
freaks
it's
me
like
out.
my mom will text me. Is it okay to call?
Yeah.
You're my mother. Yes, it's okay to call.
Oh my goodness.
I could go on and on and on and
What's
on.
happened to us? And can Hollywood rebound? I mean, is it? Do
Yes.
you think? Because COVID kind of crushed it, I feel. And I mean, is it
Don't
going to
get me
come
started
back?
on
But
COVID.
all the people seem so many people seem unlikable. Who watches the Oscars to get yelled at because they're not supporting their cause? I don't want to see that. I want to see 1940s. I want to see Rolls Royces roll up. I want to see, the glamour, the mystery. It used to be less is more.
The
And now
the
it's more, 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 more. And I don't want more. I want that mystery. I used to love combing through the Inquirer to see, oh, did somebody get caught doing something they shouldn't be doing? When I used to go to Almax or wherever. And now we know everything. We know their bowel movements. We know their gym schedule. We know when they're walking the dog. We know what they're eating. They're taking pictures. It's too much.
it's what is happening though is the Television Academy, the Motion Picture Academy, as well as the unions are cracking down on talent. This is not your political soapbox, okay? You are
Yeah,
up there to accept an award, be grateful for the award, your politics, and they're cracking down on that, and they should, because
I
that's
hope
not
so.
that's not the place. That's not the place to do that. And it's a place to be grateful. And some of these people, some of them younger, unfortunately, are not grateful because they're what we call nepo babies. Their parents were in the business or their grandparents, or it's a whole lineage of people in the entertainment business. And these people are born with a silver spoon, have these great opportunities presented to them, and have no sense of how hard it is. Most of us in the entertainment business are middle class people working very, very difficult or very, very hard to accomplish what we do. And we're grateful for that. We're grateful for those opportunities. I'm grateful that I've earned a living in this business. It's very difficult to earn a
Yeah, I
living
can't imagine.
in the business, and I'm grateful. And just like you said, the book, you did it. Everybody's got a book in their head. Yeah,
Yes,
but you got to write it.
you did do it. You did do it.
And
And
you can't you don't wait for the phone to ring, you make it ring, right?
I was right about to say, what advice would you give to a whole, group of young people or older people that feel stuck. They're at midlife, I mean, and they want more. What do you tell them? Because you're somebody that goes and gets it. You're somebody that's getting it done. You're somebody that's part of the ebb and flow, and you're not sitting back saying, okay, maybe it will drop in my lap at some point. What do you say to those people?
Let me put it in a unique perspective because, you always hear it's better to give than to receive, right?
Yes.
That we've heard that as, it's better to receive or give a beautiful Christmas present than to receive one or birthday present or whatever it might be. Well, if you give to the universe, it will give back to you. The world doesn't owe you anything.
Mm,
Your driver's license is not a privilege. It is a right that you have earned by showing that you know how to drive and you can pass a test and all of that. Then you are given that, but it's not owed to you. If you give, you will get. And it doesn't mean you have to sacrifice. And a quick story, I played in this cover band. We played classic rock and all the favorites, and we'd play weddings and we'd play dances and reunions and whatnot. And our bass player hated popular music. He was a great bass player, really, really solid guy, but he didn't like that music. He wanted to play the B-sides. He wanted to play the deep cuts, the obscure tracks, and because that's what he liked. And we acquiesced to him, like, okay, let's try it. We're playing this gig. Dance floor is packed. Everybody's having a great time. We go into his obscure Iggy Pop song. Nothing wrong with Iggy Pop, but it was an obscure song. Cleared the dance floor
yeah.
in the middle of our show. And I said to him during a break, I said, we're playing for them, not for us.
Mm,
And he
mm.
goes, but I don't like that music. I said, do you think when I hear Twist and Shout on the radio, I crank it up? Do you think Jimmy Buffett, when he hears Margaritaville on the radio, cranks it up? No, but put Jimmy Buffett in front of 10,000 people cheering him on. He loves every second of that song because
Yeah.
you're playing for them. You are giving to them and they are giving back to you. And that to me is how you can break out of ruts, how you can get yourself to the next level. You can get out of that terrible job, but you give, you bust your ass, if you will, and give to them. I wrote this book to help people, not for my ego. Of course, I want accolades. Who doesn't? We love that, and I appreciate what you said at the beginning of this. But if
Well,
we
it's true.
give, and if I help people, then that's satisfying to me, and that gives me pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of work went into this book, and I know that it can be it's helpful for me. I know it can be helpful for so many of you that are watching today. And we want to give you the opportunity to get this book. And how can they get Never Take? What to do when the answer is no, why yelling won't help, and when to never take more than you need or less than you deserve. I love that. So great. Where can people get it?
You can get it on Amazon. You could get it on my website, seanmichaelbeyer.com. Maybe there'll be a little magical graphic that'll come up here at some point that'll, have a little something.
Adam is the best. I'm sure he can make that happen.
It's if you just search "Never Take" and my name, Sean Michael Beyer, and you'll see it on Amazon. You can get the paperback or the Kindle ebook, and I'm going to be doing a hardcover edition with two additional
Oh,
chapters.
oh,
One called Tech Support about embracing technology but not being addicted to it, and also time management. Uh,
oh, that's a biggie.
yes. And
Oh,
then I will also be doing an audiobook, which will be fun because I'm going to narrate my own book, which will be exciting.
oh, that's good. You're such a nice man. Sean, I hope you come back, and I would love to have you again to talk about life things and whatnot, whatever.
No,
You're
this
just
was
an
great. Thank
interesting
you.
guy.
Well, thank you. No, this was and I love what you're doing. This is great. And you gotta plug how we met. You gotta tell them how we met.
Oh, well, I will. Now, and it's funny that you say that because there's one particular person who loves the little beacon in the corner of our show. You can see it and the little tufts of smoke coming out. And my producer, Adam, we were talking about ideas for the podcast, and he said, I've got this friend who does this great work, and you should contact him. Let me give you his information. And there it is. And you made it so, I mean, that little beaker with the smoke coming out, I love it. It makes, honestly, it makes a screen. Nobody looks at me. They're looking at that thing. But you're so kind and you're
Well,
just a
thank
nice
you.
guy and you were so helpful to help launch this thing. So thank you so much.
No, absolutely. And thank you for having me on. This was great.
You bet. You bet. Well, folks, that's it. That wraps up another episode of Splitting the Atom. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you buy this book. I know it'll be really helpful for you, and it's very helpful for me. And I'm next time I'm always going to think of Sean when I have to call anybody now about anything, and I won't get mad. I'm going to stay calm.
That's right.
Stay calm and just keep it cool. All right. We have a
Rule with
lot
logic.
more to.
Yeah.
What's that?
Rule with logic.
Yeah, well, that's difficult these days. You're asking a lot of people who
Yeah.
don't have many skills there. We've got a lot to offer on Ocean State Current. We also have Road Rage, Red Tide Radio, In the Dugout, of course, with Mike Stenhouse. And I hope you guys sign up for emails and get all the information that we send you throughout the course of the week. And remember, friends, we thank you for tuning in, but remember, you are not crazy for asking questions. You're just curious. That's it. Class dismissed.
No, 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 no. Now what if we turn that no into a yes? Never Take by Sean Michael Beyer.